This example is shared by ConnectStack. ConnectStack is changing how we design and build the structures by introducing a novel technology called Color, which is used for connecting steel beams to columns. This is the color that ConnectStack team has invented, and using this technology with a limited number of steel beams and column sections, the company can build small and large structures in a fraction of a time when compared to conventional steel structures. For instance, they erected the structure of a 230,000 square foot, which is equal to 21,367 square meter data center in 15 days. In just 15 days. To increase sales, ConnectSec needs to bid on more projects. And in their typical bidding process, they usually start with receiving a request for a quotation. At this point, their structural engineering team, which is in the service of the sales team, is engaged to design the building with their kit of parts, which is a limited number of beams and columns and a specialized connection that we talked about, the color. So they get the request for quotation, the structural engineering team gets involved, and then the structural engineering team spend days and weeks making sure that the building is structurally safe and serviceable and complies with building code. So some buildings are not compatible, and in this case, for that type of projects, all the time that the engineers spend goes into waste. So for those buildings that are compatible with the ConnectStack system, the construction team will review the design of the structure, and sometimes they need to take that back. They give some feedback to the structural engineering team, and after some back and forth, then the structural engineering team send it to the cost estimation team so that they can create a bill of material. And in this case, if the cost is above the client's budget, they need to send it back to the structural engineering team. So there are lots of back and forth between these different teams involved in order for them to come up with the number for the bid. So here are some challenges that ConnectStack is facing to grow the company. Because of the industry's meager win ratio, which is typically 10 to 20%, and the extremely long cycle of the projects, which is typically 3 to 5 years, ConnectStack spends a lot of money up front before they receive the benefit. In other words, it takes 3 to 5 years to get a return on 20% of the projects that they bid on. And another significant expense that they have is hiring very talented designers and engineers to help the sales team win projects. That team includes a certified engineer, 3D modeler, quantity takeoff experts, estimators, and experienced construction manager. So what if we could design and develop an AI system to make this process faster and help ConnectStack grow the company without too much reliance on headcount? What if we could bring in construction and all the supply chain requirements up front and feed that into an AI system that works with the structural engineering team? So structural engineer plus AI system. And together they create a solution that meets the client budget. And then the business team or the sales team can decide how should they bid on. Let me show you how it works. So at the beginning, the business team or the construction team, they come in and they look into different supply chain fabricators and contractors that they used in the past. And based on the location of the project, they can choose who they want to include in the project. At this phase, they create a study. And for instance, for the project that is located here in California, they've been working with another contractor or fabricator called SteelFab, and they know exactly what's the cost per ton for fabrication if they engage with SteelFab. So in this case, the procurement will be handled by ConnectStack, and the Connextech wants to know how much would be the cost of a structure if they build it themselves or they fabricate it themselves, or if they engage with another fabricator or external fabricator. Same for construction. They want to figure out how much the cost of the structure would be if they do the construction erection versus if they add another certified contractor who can do the erection on their behalf. So once you put all these parameters into the system, then the system creates studies. And each of these studies will have a different cost model associated with them based on how Connextech wants to execute the project. After that, the engineering team gets involved and the AI system helps them to optimize the building based on all the structural requirements of the project. And also it optimizes based on the cost or a strategy that the business team shared with them. And at the end of this phase, once the structural design is complete, then the business team can decide which strategy they should take on. If they choose to do the procurement, fabrication, and construction themselves, this would be the cost of the building. But if they engage steel fab as the fabricator, this would be the cost of the building. The important point here is that each of these construction strategies have their own design that is optimized based on this strategy. So there are different design for each strategy optimized based on how the business team wants to execute the project. So the design team at Connextech can use this to quickly design buildings and faster bid on the project. So instead of spending 2 to 4 weeks, now they can spend 1 or 2 days to complete the design, and that's a huge win for the Connextech. And the best part is that now Connextech can share this AI system with designers, with architects and engineers outside of their company, so that as they're completing the design, they can get a quick feedback on the time and the cost of their projects. So instead of limiting this AI tool to the internal use, they can enable thousands of designers and engineers to bring Connextech technology into their solutions. And this can accelerate their market penetration, brand recognition, and companies' growth. So this is an added benefit that this AI system has. They can either use it internally or externally. What are the benefits? So reducing the bidding time from 2 to 4 weeks to 1 or 2 days. This will save $2 million for Connextech in operational costs, reducing the tension between the team members, because when the estimating team says we need to reduce $2 million, then there's a tension between the team members of who should do that. And shifting from hard sales into soft sales, meaning that now the company can give that to the other designers and engineers to get quick feedback about conventional steel structure versus Connextech steel structure. And this way, once they see the benefit of working with Connextech, then they will contact them and they will ask them to participate in their projects. And that's how they can grow their company without growing their headcounts too much. So let's talk about the 5 V's of data. Because this is very similar to the structural simulation analysis that I shared at the beginning, I want you to think about the volume, velocity, variety, veracity, and the value of data for Connextech. What are the desired interaction? I will say at the beginning, we could start with level 2 and let the engineers work with the AI systems and trust them. But over time, as the trust is being built into the system, we can automate more things and increase it to level 3. Okay, I want you to think about the causation, counterfactual, and constraints. And again, this is quite similar to what we discussed earlier. What are the limitations of AI systems, and how would you consider those in designing the AI system?